Okay, I'd like to ask everyone to take their seats, please. Just a reminder, if you're a senator, you should sit forwards of the back two rows, I believe. If you're not a senator, you're a guest, please sit in the back two rows, because we do need to do head counts for quorum and that sort of thing. We good?
Assuming everyone sits where we told them to, yes.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Faculty Senate to order. One quick announcement before I get to correction and approval of the minutes. If you had trouble using the QR code to sign in, we will have a manual sign-up roster at the table outside as you leave. Please sign your name there just so we have a record of attendance if you did have trouble with the QR code. We'll try to fix that for next time. Okay, the minutes from the June 7th, 2023 meeting were posted on the Office of the Senate website. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, if there are no objections or hearing none, I will declare the minutes approved. And at this time, I would like to turn the floor over to President Emeritus.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see the Senate again in action. And since the last time that we met, a lot of things happened. We were able to close the year at the end of June, looking at the numbers. And when we look at our research activity, when we look at fundraising, a number of other indicators, all were very positive for the last year. I'm not going to go into details today. This is just a commercial to tell you that we have the State of the University address next Tuesday, and I will be talking about these numbers. So if you are interested to hear what happened and how we closed the year and where we're heading, please join us. It's going to be at the Russell House. During the period of the summer, towards the end of the summer, we also announced that we are going to be accepting automatically all South Carolina graduates from high schools if they are in the top 10% of their class. And this decision actually was discussed with the admissions committee, who blessed this approach. The reason that we are doing this, and there is a qualification there, provided that they meet the minimum CHE requirements, because you can get a high school degree and not have some of the basic courses that you need to go into college. But provided that they do this, the minimum CHE requirements in terms of the classes, and if they're in the top 10% of their class, we will admit them automatically. The reason that we are doing this is because we want to be accessible to all excellent students in this state. We want them here. And the truth is that in some parts of the state, and there is a group of around 10 counties that we have, we receive very few applications for USC. And the reason that we receive these very few applications is because students from these, and all of them are low-income counties, students from these counties in their high schools, even if they do well, they don't believe that we want them here, and they don't believe that they can come here. That's the statement that we are making with this decision. We want all of them. These are excellent students. When you are in the top 10% of your class in high school, that's the best indicator of your success. It's not a test that you may take for an hour, whether it's not an hour, a few hours, whether it says SAT or ACT. It's consistency, its durability during this period, and it's actually that shows much better what is the potential of these students. We want these students to be here. So that's one statement that we are making with this. It's interesting that just earlier this week, the University of Tennessee followed exactly the same way. And now the flagship there at Tennessee is going to be accepting automatically 10% of the high school, the top 10% of all high school students there. And in fact, they made it a little bit more complicated because the comprehensives there, they will also have some GPA requirements and so on. And I expect that we will see more and more in the country. There are two other major institutions, AAU institutions, that they have contacted us asking about how exactly we are doing it and what are the reactions that we have seen. And I suspect we may see more. There are already 2 or 3 states that they have legislated on this, but I think it's much better if we do it on our way and we make a statement ourselves instead of being told what some people may decide that we should be doing. Now, of course, access without affordability is meaningless. We can be accessible, but if we're not affordable to the students, we're not going to get them. They cannot come here. So 2 things that I would like to mention here. The first one is that we kept tuition the same for the 5th year in a row for our in-state students. We increased the tuition by 3% for the out-of-state students after 4 years of no increases and a significant inflation that we had in the last 2 years. So even that 3% is a fairly low number given what the situation is. But now we're 5 years of not having increased in-state tuition for the students or fees. And we have kept the fees constant as well, because there is some rhetoric out there that we're not increasing tuition, but we're increasing the fees. It's not true. This is not a true statement. I think we can, and we're looking into how can we do more along these lines. I'm not ready to announce anything today, but I can tell you that we're spending a lot of time talking about affordability as well, and is there something that we can do more, especially for low-income students, which are the ones that they are mostly affected by the tuition. Also, I had the opportunity the last couple of months to write a couple of things as editorials in the Post and Courier and in the State, talking about economic development and talking about workforce development in the state. I think the economic development part came out of an effort that we made to try to get for South Carolina a designation as a regional innovation hub. This is the outcome of the CHIPS and Science Act that was bipartisan last August, and now the Department of Commerce was asking for applications in order to select 20 of these regional innovation hubs across the country. I really thought from the beginning that this can be a game changer for the state and would allow us to move beyond manufacturing and beyond lower wages, quite frankly, to an area where we can have we were able to attract design centers, R&D centers, and eventually headquarters of corporations. We're also looking at to create an environment where we can have startups feel comfortable here, because that's the idea of an innovation hub. And as a result, retain the best talent that we are producing here. Because one of the problems that we have is that most of our talented students go out of the state. And part of the reason is opportunity. It's interesting that if you look at our alumni and where they are, the biggest concentration that we have is, of course, in Richland and Lexington County. We have around 60,000 alumni. The second largest is in Charlotte. And the reason that they're going to Charlotte is not that far away from home. And at the same time, there are more opportunities and there are higher salaries in Charlotte. Now, cost of living may be a little bit higher there, and sometimes the students do not count this as part of it when they get their offers. But the reality is that when they go to different parts outside of the state of South Carolina, even if you calculate the cost of living, they're doing better. And the way to improve this situation is to create higher end jobs, jobs that they pay more, and they can, as a result, retain more of our students. We put together a very good proposal, and we created a very big coalition together with Clemson, together with SC State, together with the technical colleges, and all of this with the Department of Commerce. And we will know in a few weeks if we got this designation or not. This designation then opens up the doors for us to apply for significant grants in the order of 50 to 100 million or beyond as a regional innovation hub, and we'll keep you posted. You may hear me screaming and shouting if we get it, because we really spent some time and effort to put this together, and Julius Friedrichson and his team worked a lot along these lines. This is not a research proposal necessarily, but has significant research components, and it also has workforce development components and the creation of the right environment. The second editorial was about workforce development and what can we do, right, to add to what we offer to our students right now. The liberal arts education and the degree programs is what we offer, and that's wonderful, because I keep promising students and their families that if you come to the University of South Carolina, we are going to help you become engaged citizens and competent professionals. This is not going to change. But in addition to this, in today's environment, some sets of skills are absolutely necessary. The certificates, first one of which you already approved last year, and it's in play right now, and I keep asking the provost, how many students do you have that start getting enrolled in this? The certificate in digital skills was the beginning. And at the same time that we have one, I want to have a few more, and I hope that you will agree to this, but we don't want to flood the university with 100 certificates, right? So what are the key characteristics and what are the key skills that the market is asking for? The provost has the answers, has looked heavily into this. They're coming in front of you. They're about project and team management. The second one, communications. And maybe some of our students in liberal arts do not need the communications, but I can tell you the engineering folks, they really need to learn how to communicate effectively and strategically beyond numbers. I can do only numbers myself also. And data analytics. These are the second set of three and the final set that you will see at the Senate, and I hope that the Senate will discuss them. I hope you will be satisfied with the content of these and the structure, and I hope that you will approve them as well. I want you to know that with the provost we are working, and we have spent a lot of time having these discussions about bringing some help for people that will teach and they will do research, some help in terms of new tenure track faculty members. We want to have an initiative to hire more tenure track faculty members. I'm confident because we're counting the numbers and we are counting dollars also to make sure that we don't go beyond what we can afford. Right? But I'm confident that within this fall, maybe in less than a month, we will be able to come out and announce an initiative to hire new tenure track faculty members on top of the ones that we have, right? Not replacing faculty members that they retire, and we will make sure that this is the case in the colleges, but adding to the number of faculty, especially given the growth that we have seen. I'll be happy to answer your questions, but let me also add something else. It's interesting. It's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be an interesting year because there's going to be a lot of political activity, and the universities will find themselves in the middle, being shot from both sides, in my opinion. If you don't believe this, take a look. There were a series of articles that we have seen recently. There was two, I think, that came out from the Wall Street Journal, talking specifically about the flagship universities and how we have incredibly increased our cost, and we are spending so much money on projects that may not be needed. It's an interesting approach. I was wondering why in the world is the Wall Street Journal publishing old news? Because the increases in tuition that they are talking about ended somewhere around 2018, 2019, or even earlier. I'm in this position, similar position now. I'm in my 9th year. And during these 9 years, either here or Chicago, I increased tuition once, and that was 1%. So the last 9 years, a lot of other schools are in this situation. So why are they bringing in old news? Right? Well, they may have a reason for that. But the point that we're making also is we're spending way too much. And then a few days later, the Atlantic had a story, again about the flagships, how we are becoming elitist, and we are not admitting the students in our states. Right? We are meeting only the high-income students. And if you look at our demographics, this is not the case here. It's good, by the way, that many of our sister institutions in the area were named in this series of articles. They never named us. And it's one place that I didn't want to find myself. But you can see the arguments there on both sides. And of course, on top of this is the reality of West Virginia. And you have seen what has happened there. And you can see there what happens when enrollments go down and when you build and they will come, and they never come. One thing that I want you to know is that we're very careful and we are not doing any of the above. We are not elitists. We accept students and we want students from all socioeconomic backgrounds. We are not increasing the cost, at least for a number of years now, and we are very careful about the projects that we put out. We are not building or we are not making initiatives without having the financial background that is needed to support them. That's why sometimes you're seeing us a little bit slower, because we want to make sure that we have the funds necessary. So I know it's unsettling, especially when you see a flagship university in a state having these problems. And I have to tell you that I think this is not the end. It's the beginning of a transition that we will see, especially with a decreased number of high school graduates that is coming now in 3 years from now. But I hope that you remain confident, given the numbers and given the performance that we have, that we will not face these problems, because we are managing these situations the way that they should be managed, carefully and having the resources that we need. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have or to hear anything else that you want to tell me if you don't have a question. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Provost Arnett to come and report to us. Thank you.
I'm back a second year. I thought I'd start out with just giving you a review of rundown of year one, just to provide context, and then talk to you about what the goals are for year two, because we've been very busy in my office and working with faculty to accomplish great things. It's been a great first year. I hope year two is even better. So in terms of year one, we hired 7 deans. We have restructured our office of the provost. We currently have an interim vice provost for faculty affairs and dean of the faculty, an experienced administrator. Many of you know Mary Ann Fitzpatrick, who will serve in that role for this year and perhaps another. She keeps adding a year as we go on. We also hired Laura Lamika Anderson from Humanities, who's overseeing our undergraduate programming. We've hired a new faculty ombudsman, Robin DePietro from HRSM. And we've also hired a new faculty civility officer, Donna Schmidt, from the Darla Moore School of Business. In addition, David Cardenas is serving as our interim vice provost for global affairs. That position had been vacant for quite a while. So we're making a whole lot of progress in the area of structuring of the provost office to really accomplish the great things we want to do with you. We also did a listening tour this past year, and I learned a whole lot of great things about the university, but we also made some really impactful changes. We set a minimum salary for tenure track faculty. We also set a minimum salary for our professional track faculty that mirrors the Richland County 1 and 2 school districts so that we're not paying less than our market value. We've done some facility upgrades for things like hot water in the Wardlaw building. We've done a pretty extensive classroom utilization analysis. We discovered that our classrooms last year were about at 92% occupancy rate. This fall, they're at 87% occupancy. We had new classrooms that came on board. And we've also been continuing our upgrade of our classrooms. I'm happy to report next year when we launch the new reconstruction of the Science and Technology building, we're going to have our first TEAL, Teaching Enhanced Active Learning classrooms, 6 of them in that space. We also dealt with some ugly Title IX issues that had really brought the morale of the faculty down over a period of time. So those are all dealt with. We also implemented the Imagine Carolina for faculty. And we have an implementation team that's already met to take the ideas that came from faculty during that day-long retreat, and that work is ongoing. We started our transition this past year to a 4-year advising model that's built off of our award-winning UAC model, which was a freshman centralized advising process that transferred then to colleges in the sophomore year. We're modeling a new program of 4-year advising that happens within the colleges. As the president's mentioned, we created our first interdisciplinary certificate in digital studies. We have 40 students enrolled already. And one of my favorite things that we've done is created something called a graduation retention network. So this is a group of 18 different offices that touch students anywhere from our bursar to mental health to advisors to student housing, to come together to identify what are the barriers for retaining year 1 to 2, because we know if we retain from year 1 to 2, we have a much better chance of graduating in 4 years. And we're also identifying what are the barriers to graduation at 4 years. And when we sat and met for the first time in that group, some of the things I learned then were really shocking. One of the things that we've already addressed is something that one of the largest dropout rates doesn't happen in first to second year, which is what I thought would happen, but in the 3rd to 4th year transition from junior to senior, when students' GPA may drop below that magic 3.0 level and they lose their merit scholarship, or they've finished 4 years and no longer eligible for financial aid, and they may have a $3,000 debt that they still owe and they can't register until that debt is cleared. So we created a completer program this year. We have, I think, 7 or 8 students. In the fall, we'll have 11 in the spring semester that we cleared out that debt, and they're going to finish this year and graduate. And that, is just exactly what we're all here for, and a really tremendous success. And we're going to do other things with that group. We also have a new focus on faculty development. So in addition to the other people I mentioned in our office, we've had our first ever associate provost for faculty development, exclusively devoted to programming for faculty. From the listening tours that I did around campus, one of the areas that's most concerning to me as provost is our stagnation at the associate level. So the first thing we're going to tackle is creating a program for mid-career faculty to help them along the career path to full professor. So what are we doing for 23-24? So I want to start that conversation with some of the learning that has come actually from our student body president and Rex Tolliver, our VP for Student Affairs, who has reported to us about what Gen Z is. This is our incoming group of students. They were born in the mid-1990s to the early 2010s, and what their expectations are in terms of how they live their life and what they want from a college experience. So first of all, they want easy access to information. They want it to be speedy, and they want all of their information integrated into a single platform, ideally their smartphone. They are very dependent on their smartphone and social media. And the other thing that's unique about them, maybe related to social media, is that 1 in 2 of them have been diagnosed or are being treated for a mental health condition. So 1 in 2 of your class students in this generation are being treated for mental health. So that's a big shift just in recent period of time. So we've started our 4-year advising model. So with all of that context in place about who our students are, you know, this 4-year advising model, we believe will help them because they will have a relationship with an advisor that lasts more than 4 years. That's more than just transactional. These are the classes you have to take. But hopefully they become knowledgeable about the unique desires of that student and what their unique mental health challenges may be, their aspirations for their career. And the president's provided us almost $2 million to hire those advisors. They'll be housed in the colleges, and it'll be a partnership between the University Advising Center and colleges. We're going to continue the work of Garnet, that the Graduation Retention Network. My goal is for us in this next year to exceed 90% in our first to second year graduation rate. And, sorry, not graduation rate, that would be amazing, retention rate, and 70% for our graduation rate. The president is going to be focusing on affordability. He's mentioned that already. The other thing that we're going to be doing is focusing on our first-gen students. Believe it or not, the surprising number about mental health was really surprising to me. What else is surprising to me is 1 in 5 of our students is first gen. 20% of our students are first gen. That's a lot of students that arrive here with no experience in their family of what it means to come to college and how you navigate college. I just met with brand new faculty who this is their first year, and listening to their stories of how they're navigating benefits and HR and getting an email address. I mean, and they all have their PhD. And thinking about our first gen students, and I was one too, how do you navigate this big complex university? And that's going to be the focus of this first gen center. We're going to be partnering faculty mentors who are first gen with alumni mentors who are first gen and peer-to-peer first gen mentors. Really excited about that. If the president funds it, I'm putting in a good word now. We're also looking at reducing curricular complexity. 1 in 3 of our programs right now is more than 120 credit hours, which means it takes more than 4 years to graduate in theory. We're having an advisor come in who created a program called Curricular Analytics, and we're going to be looking at what are some hidden prerequisites that are hidden and make our curriculum complex, amongst other things. So we're working on that. We also want to improve our success rate in some of our bottleneck courses, courses that have a high proportion of D's, F's, and withdrawals. Why is that important? It really impacts our first gen student. It really impacts underrepresented students because it delays their time. Every time you have to repeat a course, you're delaying your graduation. So we're partnering with a company called Circle In, and they are funded by an NSF grant, and it's being implemented now in accounting and calculus. And it's a program that allows students in that class, along with their faculty member, its engagement to create study groups. It's almost like a social media kind of application for the classroom, but you can form study groups, you can share notes, you can share answers to questions. And so far our uptake has been great. Our engagement is over, I think now I'll misquote, but Laura, just shout out the number. 75% engagement. And I mean, a week ago, we were at 15,000 different posts across those classes. So we're really hopeful that peer-to-peer support is really going to help our students and improve our DFW rates in calculus and in accounting. I just met with the INDEV committee. We're also looking at how can we improve our teaching evaluations. Right now, we're using not multiple, but more than one platform for evaluations on campus. Our contract for that platform expires in June of this year, and we're looking to see whether we can bring on something that would integrate within our learning management system to make the execution of student evaluations easier. We learned today that in U101, students are taught how to do evaluations, and that's a great thing, because in high school, when students leave high school, they don't evaluate their instructors. So when they land here, we need to teach them how to use teaching evaluations. And right now, our response rate overall in the university is 23%. And that's just too low to really make meaningful inference. And it's a very important part of your annual performance review, and as well as your promotion dossiers. We're also looking at how to evaluate, improve our online course offerings. And this is important for two reasons. The first reason is that more than 15,000 students took at least one online course in spring of 2023. So 15,000 students. So we're having a lot of students come through our courses. So given that we have that many students, it's important that our online learning management system that students are using is identical across our courses. The challenge I learned from our IT committee, faculty committee, that up to 6 different LMSs have been used. The university supports Blackboard and Blackboard Course View. The problem is that Blackboard is no longer being updated, and only Blackboard Course View is being managed by Anthology, the company that purchased Blackboard. So we're working on a creation of a transition to one LMS initiated in fall of 2024, and that will be Blackboard Course View. I'm working with the IT committee and INDEV committee to look at how we could evaluate in the future other different LMSs. Maybe Blackboard is not the best LMS. The challenge is our contract with Blackboard ends this year, and we can't change at this point in time. So we're going to have to extend that contract. I'm hoping to get a 3-year extension, and then we'll work together with faculty to look at other potential platforms. The other challenge that we have is that the platform serves our whole system. So USC Beaufort, Aiken, and Upstate, as well as all of the Palmetto campuses, use that same system. So we have to navigate that with our system partners. We'll also work to create an exception committee that looks at exceptions for pedagogical reasons. If you couldn't be on Blackboard Course View, that we would have a group of IT experts and faculty that could evaluate that request for exception and make those if necessary. And finally, we have 3 more interdisciplinary certificates. The president's already discussed them. Completely separate and independent of that, we are exploring a partnership with Google, who will offer certificates. If that partnership goes through, that would be executed out of continuing education. So you may hear more about this to come as the committees that oversee certificates work through how it could or could not be integrated into our current curricula. We're also updating classrooms, I mentioned, and finally, we're building new programs for faculty. So we're going to be developing a first-year faculty onboarding. That's being worked on right now by Marianne Fitzpatrick, Kim Pruitt, and Mary Alexander. I'm going to be executing the faculty hiring initiative that the president mentioned. We're also just launched our second Bridge to Faculty, Fellow to Faculty program. So those I know that 45 people came to an introductory meeting with Michelle Bryan, so you're going to be submitting your requests for those faculty. And finally, we're going to continue to focus on communication and cascading communication down. So we've reinitiated for this semester our bi-weekly provost check-in calls. They're just 15 minutes every other Monday morning. We also have our provost monthly newsletter that goes to deans, and deans are supposed to cascade it down to you. So if you're not getting that, please let me know. And finally, we created an internal provost newsletter site. So we have a lot that we're doing. I'm happy to take questions. I know this was longer than usual. My future reports will be shorter, but I wanted to give you an idea of where we're focusing on in the provost area office this year for you.
We have the mics for questions. Just a reminder, please identify yourself when you ask your question.
Thank you. Abbas Tabakoli with College of Nursing. One question regarding those classes high in D or E. Couldn't be that the large size of those classes, usually those classes is above like 200, and especially they take in it the first year or second year as freshman or sophomore. And that's one question. I have comment about teaching evaluation and online course. Our graduate program completely is online in College of Nursing. We have very standard across all courses for our program. And I was hoping if the IT is looking at that, someone from College of Nursing participate in their discussion. And in terms of evaluation response, actually our graduate program do much better. It's like 60% we have in our college and 50% for undergraduate face-to-face. And I believe that should be higher. That is on us as faculty, because we can put the time, 10, 15 minutes of our class and have a student to evaluate. One thing I want to make a comment about also platform with changing about class climate. My understanding, there is a focus group. We want to make sure whatever software or platform we use, it would be easy as it is in class climate, because the student log in, they might have the course evaluation, they can evaluate all the courses. We want to make sure exporting data also is available for unit to be able to download those data and have their own evaluation.
I didn't hear a question there for me.
About the courses with higher D and or F, I was wondering if the class size, you look at that class size too, because one faculty teaching with a couple GA, a lot of time students don't have that opportunity to, especially with calculus 1 or 2, I know the size of those classes is very large. The same with chemistry 101 and those kind of classes. So if we're looking at it, the software help, I agree, but also the class size, I think, would be issue.
If anyone from math is here and can answer, I'm happy to hear from you. I believe that they have section sizes that are about 20. Yes, that's correct. Okay. So yes, they teach a lecture that's large, but then they have the breakout sections that are size 20.
Good afternoon, Provost Arnett. Thank you for the excellent report and the exciting list of activities. It seems that you will be busy for a second year.
Yes.
One minor observation. I noticed that the faculty gateway area of sc.edu has been changed. In particular, some links that existed there were taken off. Now, I contacted someone who I thought could help, and I did get some initial positive feedback, so that a particular link that was missing, namely the link to the master schedule, could be restored, and I hope it will be. Nevertheless, I would like to point this out to you, that is a tool that I believe many of us use, the faculty gateway at sc.edu. And a large change like the one that was carried out without notice was a little unsettling. And in addition, again, it wasn't just a matter of looks. Some links actually disappeared.
Okay, thank you for bringing that to my attention.
You're welcome.
I'll pass that to our new interim director of IT.
And I think I didn't say Marco Valtorta, computer science and engineering. Let's remember everybody.
Well, no wonder the link really bothers you. Yes.
This is Abu Sabakuli, College of Nursing again. I just want to add another thing with the IT issue is the REDCap. We use the software in medical field, REDCap, to conduct our research and survey, sending survey. It seems the university technology, when you send it, it's spam, and that has created a lot of problem. I have several projects. I have to call IT for many hours to discuss it, to resolve the issue. And I don't think the issue is being resolved because I was trying to get to a higher level, never got to that. But I just want to pass on that also because those software need to be ruled out and let the spam.
I'll let Beth, the new VP of IT. I also failed to mention that she's working with me to create a seamless integration within Blackboard Course View to automatically upload your grades, so you won't have to hand enter them in the future. Anything else? I'll leave on a high note.
Run while you can, I guess. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to ask Christian Anderson to come up as our guest speaker for today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me a few moments here at the meeting. On October 7th, 1873, Henry Hayne walked through the doors of De Saussure College and enrolled as the university's first black student. This was a remarkable event coming just shortly after the Civil War. Our university was the only one in the South to desegregate after the Civil War and the only university in the country to fully integrate during this period. Richard T. Greener arrived on campus as the first black professor the next month, and soon the majority of this is Henry Hayne, and soon the majority of students were African American. A normal school to train teachers was opened that served mostly black women, including Celia Dial Saxon, for whom a residence hall was named earlier this year. And the list of accomplishment of these Reconstruction era alumni is long. Reconstruction, for those who are not familiar with this history, is a period of rebuilding the nation after the Civil War and reintegrating the former Confederate states into the Union after the abolishment of slavery. Citizenship and voting rights were extended to all citizens during this time. However, the Reconstruction came to a close in 1877. This history has not been well known or understood or acknowledged here at USC. When the university celebrated its centennial, the Reconstruction era was mentioned only in passing, and then only to downplay or denigrate its importance. For the university's bicentennial in 2001, a play was commissioned about Richard T. Greener that was performed during that time, but it hasn't been performed since. Other than that, there were very few references to the Reconstruction in that year-long celebration. So we are launching this effort to study and to commemorate the Reconstruction era University of South Carolina for its sesquicentennial. On October 7th, we will gather on the Horseshoe at 2 p.m. to mark the 150th anniversary of Henry Hayne enrolling at the university. This event is being organized by the Association of African American Students, and everyone is welcome and invited. An important part of this story comes before the desegregation of the student body. on campus was the appointment of 2 black trustees in 1869. One of them was Francis Cardozo. He is the subject of this year's Richard T. Greener lecture, which takes place this Friday at 4 p.m. in Harper College. So this initiative is a collaborative of faculty, led by faculty, students, alumni, staff, and the community, with administrative support from the Office of Julian Williams, Vice President for Access, Civil Rights, and Community Engagement. We invite departments and programs on campus to organize events related to Reconstruction and its legacy. So please feel free to reach out to me or to Vice President Williams with any questions and ideas. So at the start of this year, a marker was unveiled on Sumter Street to commemorate USC during Reconstruction. I encourage you to pause and read it next time you walk past the gate, that gate to the horseshoe, and then ask what it is that you know and what more you want to know about this era. To understand American history, you need to know the history of Reconstruction. And to understand the history of USC, you need to know what happened here during Reconstruction and how and why it ended. Thank you very much for your time.
You want to answer any questions?
Yeah, if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
No?
All right,
Okay,
thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you, Professor Anderson. This time, I'd like to ask the Chair of Admissions Committee to come forward for the report of their committee. Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were coming to usurp my authority here.
We can put you on a committee.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Laura Herbert. I am chair of the Committee on Admissions, and I'm just providing advance notice of an amendment to a previous motion that was approved in 2021 to adopt test optional admissions through the fall of 2023. So based on data collected from 2 admission cycles, our committee has a recommendation to continue test optional admissions for the foreseeable future, subject to our committee's periodic review. And we will have a formal motion that will be made at the October 4th Senate faculty meeting.
Thank you. Of course, there'll be full discussion, et cetera, at that meeting about this motion. Now I'd like the Chair of Curricula and Courses Committee to come forward.
Hi, I'm Brian Habing. I'm the co-chair of Curriculum and Courses with Sharon Gamina. The Committee on Curriculum and Courses met on August 16th and discussed a number of proposals that were presented to us. Please note that there is an addenda to the report we are presenting, and Geology 335 is being withdrawn from consideration for approval at this meeting at the request of its proponents. The committee would like to move the remainder of those courses for approval. That's 11 courses from the College of Information and Communications, 3 from the College of Pharmacy, 18 from the College of Engineering, 1 from the Arnold School of Public Health, 1 from the School of Medicine, Columbia, and 1 from the College of Education.
This motion does not require a second. This is coming from a committee. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I guess we'll proceed to the vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, one moment. Just let me get you a microphone so those viewing online can hear you.
I'm Rebecca Stern in the Department of English. Can you hear me? I was wondering, are we voting on the program changes as well right now? As well as the class additions?
Yes, all the changes.
All of the changes. Okay, I am the former chair of INDEV, and I was chair at the time that we put together the report on the Carolina Core, and one of the main concerns that kept coming up for the Carolina Core was what was called not student-friendly policies, and also things that made it difficult for students to transfer in. And I'm looking at the courses that are being added here from the School of Journalism, mixed in with classes that are in the core, and I think there's some issues here where you've got social sciences that are only going to be accepted by journalism. and behavioral sciences that will only be accepted. They won't be accepted. They're not core approved classes, but they are nonetheless ticking the boxes of social sciences and behavioral sciences. So those classes, in enrolling in those classes, it actually makes it very difficult for a student then to subsequently say, well, wait a minute, actually, I want to go into, HRSM or some such thing. And so I'd like to just suggest that we send this back because it reinforces the kind of siloing. I was very disappointed to see this, that we had pointed out in our report 2 years ago. Thank you.
Are you speaking about the ones that are in the college requirement list and not part of the core then?
Yes. The core, you just have the very basics, but then you are adding under social science, and then social behavioral science, there's a whole list of journalism courses that are actually not core approved that could serve within the college, but I think at the very
Would you mind taking the
beginning-
microphone? I'm sorry to interrupt. Just
I'm so sorry. I said they're under the headings of core approved classes, things that we recognize as core approved, as for example, social sciences, social and behavioral sciences. These are classes that will only be accepted by the journalism school.
So those are not courses that are satisfying the GSS requirement? GSS requirement?
No,
is
I
separate.
understand that. These are classes that are part of the college requirement that will make it more difficult for students to move among our many different offerings on campus.
As I believe the College of Arts and Sciences has a large number of courses also that they do that, and this is a different section than that. So I'm wondering if it would matter if they just had a different name other than social sciences, since colleges can have other program requirements. Is it the name social sciences that's a hang up, or is it having?
I think it's confusing for students. I think it's confusing for students.
So if I'm not incorrect, I think you've moved to send these back to the committee, is that correct? And do I have a second for that motion?
That's for the single course, right?
Yeah, can you restate your motion, please? I'm sorry, it was a little hard to know exactly what you were requesting.
I actually hadn't made it as a motion. I move that we return the proposals from journalism to the J School for resubmission with greater clarity.
That might work better if we can get a motion to divide the questions. We pull out the portion she's objecting to. Then we can pass the rest of it.
Okay.
And then deal with that specifically.
Gotcha. Is it okay, I guess, for me to suggest that, right? Yeah, okay. Yes, are you a senator? I guess I should ask that. Good question. Thank you, Marianne. You are a senator? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I had to confer with my parliamentarian. He requested that, I think makes a lot of sense, if we can first have a motion to unbundle those courses from the rest of the courses, and then we can pass the other parts of the CNC report, and then deal with your motion to remand them back to the units.
So that would be the 3 degrees proposed by that school.
I move to disentangle the College of Information and Communications proposed program changes from the proposed courses.
Okay, and there's a second? Okay, I heard a second. And you said there are, sorry, CNC Chair, there are
I believe
there's
2 of them, or there are 3 of those in there?
I just want to be clear which specific programs we're unbundling.
Public relations.
Maybe you could,
Two
yeah,
fingers
sorry.
over there.
It's 2, it's public relations, and which one? That would be the public relations program and the mass communications program? Just mass communications? Gotcha. Yeah, public relations and mass communications.
Okay, so this is specifically public relations and mass communications program proposals.
Yeah.
Okay, or changes to those programs. Okay. And I've been informed to say that we're actually dividing the question. Okay, yeah, rather than using my non-parliamentary disentangling language. Okay, so we have that motion which has been seconded So any discussion on that motion? It's not debatable? Oh, okay, thank you. This is why we have a parliamentarian.
It is amendable.
It is amendable, though. It is amendable. Hopefully, no one wants to amend it, but if you would like to, please feel free. Okay, hearing no amendments, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor of the motion to divide the question, thank you. I'll get this down eventually. Please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion passes. So I guess we should probably now go back to the committee's original motion to pass the remaining parts of this report.
Which one do you do first?
Let's just do that, so that's done. Okay, and then we'll have the discussion about the, yeah, so we're going back now to the, yes, to pass the there's all the other programs other than those two from, those two programs in public relations and mass communications. You have discussion for that motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Marco Valtorta, Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I have a motion to amend the committee motion. It's very simple. I would like the names of the colleges and schools listed on page 1 to be corrected to be the official names. In particular, the College of Engineering should be renamed College of Engineering and Computing. And there may be some other errors that I didn't catch.
Okay, gotcha. For that kind of correction, do we actually need an amendment for the motion, or?
You can probably carry it through unanimous consent.
Yeah, so basically, are there any objections?
Well, is there a second?
Yeah, is there a second, first off? Thank you. Are there any objections to that amendment? Hearing none, that amendment passes. Okay.
Thank you.
And now we'll go back to the amended motion to pass the report minus those other two programs with the corrections to the names of the schools. And we do not need a second since that was committee report. So any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, that motion passes. And now we'll go back to the, I guess it was a motion, yeah? The motion to basically remand the two, if I'm using the right terminology, send those two proposals back to the unit for further consideration. Or to the committee, and then I guess the committee will then process it beyond that point. If I've stated it incorrectly, please chime in, but I think that's what you proposed, yes? Oh. For greater clarification. Okay, back to the CNC committee for greater clarification.
I lost track. That was second, right?
There was a second, I believe, to that. Someone seconded that motion, or is there a second? Second. We do have a second. All right. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you. We have no further business.
Okay, very exciting meeting. I didn't know there'd be so much maneuvering tonight. Okay, so that's good. Keeps us from getting bored. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to our secretary, Mary Ann Bickle, for her report. Nothing. She has nothing to report. Very efficient. Okay, now moving on to the report of the chair. And I would like to, before I get into my report, I'd like to ask the past chair of the Faculty Senate, Audrey Korsgaard, to approach the podium. Okay, so Audrey has been a great mentor to me, and I know a great asset to the Senate. Even though she's not the chair anymore, she's still the past chair, and I've been relying on her quite a bit. Hopefully I can taper that off as we go through the semester. So as a token of our appreciation, we have obtained a gavel, and what do you call the thing you bang the gavel on? I don't know. Yeah, anyway.
I think it's your head.
Yeah, hopefully not my head. The inscription on the base of the gavel is to Dr. Audrey Korsgaard, Faculty Senate Chair from 2021 to 2023, for exemplary service and dedication to faculty governance. And of course, there's a little plaque on the actual gavel itself. So I'd like to present this to you. Thank you very much. And you can feel free to take the bag if that's easier. Oh. Did somebody leave their glasses up here? Oh, guess not. You'll miss them eventually. Okay, so the report from the chair. Right. So I am brand new, of course, to the faculty chair of the faculty senate position. So any report I give would be basically touting Audrey's accomplishments last year, but we did have a number of faculty manual changes. I encourage you all to go and find the June 2023 version of the faculty manual and take a look at that. We do have some things coming up this fall. So the three areas that we're all evaluated on is faculty, scholarship, teaching, and service. Faculty governance touches on all those areas, as of course all of you know. Our standing committees, which are not technically the faculty senate, but nonetheless interact with the faculty senate, touch into all of those areas. And so my goal, I guess you'd say, for the fall is to continue to improve faculty experience in those three areas, both through faculty governance as well as shared governance, working with the higher administration to accomplish that. I would also like to continue work that Audrey started with improving communication through the faculty senate down to the unit level. So Audrey, I think, sort of prompted the creation or the organization of unit caucuses of faculty senators. And I've been reaching out to the points of contact for those caucuses and trying to update that list. I would like to use the caucuses at each unit as a way to distribute information, to keep people informed about what's going on with the Senate even throughout the month, rather than waiting till a few days before the meeting to hear everything that's going on. You may not get live, play-by-play kind of information, but I hope to at least periodically update the senators on things that are happening, so you have time to think about the implications of different actions and issues and items. Other than that, I just hope that I can continue the good work that Audrey started. And I do have one other item, but I think I can handle it. Well, let me check with my parliamentarian really quick. I want to open the floor for, should I do it as new business for secretary?
It's new, but and you can, although I don't think we vote on it till November.
Right. Yeah, we'll just be opening the floor. Okay. Okay, so that concludes the report of the chair. Are there any questions for me? Oh, yes. Thank you, Mark, for the reminder. Before I close out my remarks, one of the key things that we did in the last round of faculty manual changes is to create unit budget committees that exist at each college and school. And their job is to advise their dean or director on items that connect with the budget decisions, essentially, at the unit level. Again, unit being college or school level, not individual department level. Mark Manette has been kind enough, who is president of our AAUP chapter, has been kind enough to put together a few, I guess, sort of best practices for these budget committees. Of course, the faculty manual is the ultimate authority on how the committee should be structured and operate, but these guidelines might be useful to those of you at the unit level as you kind of check on the progress of your budget committees. I'll also be trying to monitor this as chair of the faculty senate through the caucuses, and also working with the provost's office to make sure that these get put in place and become operational this fall. Okay. Now, are there any, as these get handed out, I'll let them go around. And maybe we'll also, we'll make sure these get into the minutes as well for those viewing this online as part of the minutes. Are there any questions for me as faculty senate chair? Oh, none? I thought I could, okay. Is there any old business to come before the Senate? Okay. Is there any new business to come before the Senate? Now I have one item. I see a hand raised, so I'll wait. Is it working?
Okay. Abbas Tabakoli, College of Nursing. I was wondering about COVID policy because our student getting positive COVID. I was wondering, university, we have 5 days isolation now in check because we receive from offices, the student is absenting, and do we have our testing back or those kind of policy? We want to be clear. Do you know anything about those?
Yeah, that's a great question. Does the provost or one of her staff or have an answer to that? Sam will bring you a mic.
We do not have the centralized testing, saliva-based testing. That was stopped as of last January, right? Believe. We do have accessibility for testing for students in our student health center, as well as vaccinations, both for students and faculty. And the new vaccine has been released. I don't know yet if we have the most recent version available. The CDC updated their guidelines about isolation and mask wearing in August, so I'd refer you to the CDC website for that. I don't want to quote it because I don't want to quote anything wrong. But that's where we're not doing anything more centralized other than sending our students to student health and faculty there, as well as students for vaccines.
So it's free of charge for student, faculty, and staff going to health center?
I believe you use your insurance as a faculty member. You know, I went to just my health provider and it was free there.
Any other new business from the floor? I have 2 items, hopefully quick. Okay. This is just notice that in October, I'll be presenting a motion or a motion will be presented to amend the standing rules of the Senate to allow the chair and/or steering committee, will draft the exact language by October, to make changes to the Senate meeting times if there is a conflict, such as a religious holiday, or, as is more pertinent for this year, right now, the first Wednesday in March is in the middle of spring break. So we would like to reschedule that so you don't have to come here to this meeting during spring break. But the standing rules indicate that don't allow us to do that as the chair and the steering committee. So we'll be bringing that forward to the Senate to vote on in October to allow us to make that change. The second item I had is that our secretary, Mary Ann Bickle, is, I won't say on her last legs. No, she's on her way out. She's on her way out. She's done an amazing job and will be finishing up her term this year. But that means that we need to elect a secretary-elect who can hopefully shadow her a bit this year and then take over as secretary for next fall in 2024. We won't have elections on that today, obviously. October would be in October, but I would like to open the floor to nominations if there are any nominations for that position. Hopefully someone that you know will actually agree to serve. So if anyone does have any nominations, please let me know at this time.
And remind me, everything is on video. You don't have to take notes during the meeting. It's very, very easy.
Yeah, Mary Ann is, for those online, Mary Ann is reminding us that everything is taped at these meetings and you do not have to furiously scribble as you're sitting there listening to the meeting. You can do that later. Yes. Oh, sorry. I was reminded 2 quick eligibility things for secretary-elect. You do need to be a voting member of faculty, and you do need to be tenured. So we cannot have an assistant professor do that position. But associate and full are fine. Okay. And no nominations. Well, hopefully we'll have some nominees to vote on for October. We'll see if we can pull anything together. If you do have folks that occur to you during the month, don't hesitate to email myself or Sam Clark, our administrator. Okay, is there anything for the good of the order? Yes, sir, I have one thing for the good of the order.
Thank you. Aaron Glenn, School of Law. Just a quick reminder to everyone, the My Carolina Health and Wellness Expo is coming up towards the end of this month on Tuesday, September the 26th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Expecting 40 or so vendors there to provide information about their services. So please don't forget that event. In the past, that's been the benefits fair. So please just save the date, Tuesday, September 26th for the My Carolina Health and Wellness Expo. That'll be over at the Russell House, and there'll be more information on that. Should be forthcoming on the Benefits Office website. So just wanted to remind everyone of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I declare this meeting adjourned.
If there's no objection.
Oh, if there's no objections, I can declare this, I assume everybody's ready to go. Any objections? Then I declare this meeting adjourned.